Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader with me, Bring It On. Let's level up Cassia and Irliot. Then we'll head to the Kiava Gamma system if there's no other surrounding systems. Alright, common talent and a regular talent. I think I'll just do characteristic training and ballistic skill. Character gains +5 ballistic skill. The character may improve any trained characteristic, even if their archetype or origin does not allow it. Let's do create an opening. An enemy suffers a critical hit from one of the assassin's allies. At the start of the assassin's turn, a new opening is created on that enemy on whichever side is closest to the assassin. Cassia just gets a talent. Let's do against all odds. The Master Tactician begins combat with additional stacks of tactical advantage equal to the number of enemies. A nice little boost right out the gate, considering how many enemies we tend to fight in a single battle. We have 3 quests here too. Well, 2 and 3 are the same. So 2 quests. A Lord Captain. According to telemetry, we're in the system of Kiava Gamma, the main industrial world of the Von Valancius dynasty. However, our astropaths report that attempts to contact Governor Gaprick have been unsuccessful. But wait. The Voxmaster is silent for a few seconds. Lord Captain, a new report. Kiava Gamma is sending a request to exchange data. Should we accept it? Reply with our own request. As you command, Lord Captain. Voxmaster switches to a nearby comm channel to relay your instructions to the crew. For several minutes, nothing happens. Lord Captain, reporting. The Manufactorum is ignoring all our requests and continues to send us its own. The longer we do not accept their messages, the stronger and more persistent the incoming signals become. I've never seen anything like. Suddenly, a deafening screech erupts from the bridge's Vox system. You hear violent tirades of garbled binary code, like the low chuckles of machinery. Lord Captain, interference detected in the compartment's Vox system. Looks like the bridge is cut off from the rest of the Void Ship. Sector Cronus Expanse, Region Cineris Maleficum, Location Cranach. Material, picked report on events on the bridge when entering Kiava Gamma. Recorded by Server Skull Watcher 16. Start a picked recording. The Void Ship's bridge. Sounds of working cogitators and officers' footsteps. The everyday scene is interrupted by an ear-splitting beeping sound, followed by lumens going out. In the dim glow of candles and emergency lights, one of the officers in frame cries out. Another falls to her knees, clutching her head. Over the beeping of Voxes, shouts can only just be heard. What's going on? The doors are locked. We've lost contact with all compartments. One of the bridge officers turns to the throne. Lord Captain, the Vox stations are malfunctioning and overloading the system. None of our outgoing transmissions are getting through. The incoming ones that do make it are distorted beyond interpretation. The Lord Captain gives the order to continue sending orders from the bridge and request status updates from the other compartments. The officer salutes and hurries over to the bridge Vox system, to the Vox Master, who's leaning over her station. Moments later, a cry of surprise. Lord Captain, our transmissions are being distorted as we speak. Depressurize the lower bays. Execute adepts of the machine cult. Disable the life support systems. If even one command gets out, Donald gives the order to. Yeah, so before I decided not to decipher the message because you never know if it's going to be a chaos-tainted message. So let's circumvent the boxes altogether. Assign officers to all control systems to execute manual transmission override and send orders to the other compartments on paper. The Rogue Trader gathers the senior officers and assigns each to one of the ship's control systems. One monitors the comm line, another prepares written orders. The Voxmaster's unit sets up an internal communication system via comm beads. The crew's efforts are expedient and well coordinated, and within moments, servo skulls carrying instructions from the Lord Captain are diving into the ventilation shaft and vanishing into the gloom. Scrap code. The voice belongs to the on-deck engine seer who has turned to the Lord Captain from his station. We've been attacked with scrap code, a tech heresy designed to corrupt machines. Transmission received from the planet was infected with this taint, and is now running through the ship's veins. Omnissiah preserve us. That's what I was concerned about, and why I didn't accept their box transmission earlier. We wanted to send our own request instead. The Voidborn officer appears before the Lord Captain once more. Whatever it is that's attacking us, we have a backup procedure that can circumvent the Vox barrier. In the atrium leading to the bridge, there is a terminal for an isolated system that might still be unaffected. A loud pop. The pipes over the officers' heads burst, and a blast of hot air flings the Voidborn away from the Lord Captain, his body slamming straight through a cogitator panel. The picked frame spins uncontrollably. The servo skull was jolted by the gust. The picked recorder fogs over, the box picking up the crackling of electricity and a death cry. Gas on the bridge. The junior attendant shouts and instantly doubles over, inhaling the poisoned air. The Rogue Trader. Commands the crew to carry on with their duties until the very last. Heedless to the gas spreading over the deck, the officers continue their flurry of work at their stations, executing the orders issued by the Lord Captain. Even when the doors to the bridge are open, the crew carries on for as long as they can. Last to leave the bridge, the Lord Captain runs out, coughing heavily. Leaning on a support beam, the Rogue Trader takes several deep breaths, trying to flush his lungs with air. Then he straightens, smooths his uniform, and heads toward a goal known only to him. The servo skull follows. The atrium is in a state of panic. Silhouettes skitter about in the dark hall, illuminated only by the flickering of emergency lumens. Heard orders and someone's feverish words of prayer can be heard. Having lost all communication, the beheaded ship is writhing in agony. It takes a while for the Lord Captain to find the cogitator mentioned by the fallen officer. The panel of the isolated terminal is riddled with cracks and bloodstains. And on the floor by the terminal, a tech priest is lying in a heap with his head smashed, and tentacle liquids mixed with blood oozing out of his ports. The Lord Captain decides to take his chances restoring the terminal. The Rogue Trader rips the power key off the tech priest's mechadendrite and opens the cover on the terminal. Sparks fly into his face, but he is confident in his manipulation of the tangled wires and clanging levers. Not that we had a choice, it's the only option available to us. After replacing the cover and ensuring that the system is restored, the Lord Captain brings up the required data on the screens. Thanks to the Rogue Trader's efforts and the sacrifice of the senior bridge officers, the rest of the ship's compartments were able to suppress the panic and deal with the raging machine spirits with few casualties. No critical reports. Return to the bridge. The walk to the bridge is uneventful. The crisis has passed, although wounded and crippled, the ship nevertheless returning to its normal operation. The bridge resembles a battlefield. The floor is strewn with corpses, the cogitators are damaged, and the people inside are barely standing. Healers in masks are bagging up pale corpses, technomats are hastily patching up the ruptured pipes, and the surviving officers are trying to get the remaining cogitators back up and running. By the comm station, Rogue Trader runs into the Voxmaster. Praise the Emperor, you're in one piece, Lord Captain. The situation on board is satisfactory. I was just in the middle of setting up comm channels. Soon all the Voxcasters will be fully operational. Another man appears in the picked frame. A junior officer, completely out of breath, carrying a heap of scrolls. The Voxmaster nods at him. Ah, here are the reports, Lord Captain. If you find yourself able to return to your station, I can immediately give you a rundown of the state of affairs on the ship. End of picked recording. Lord Captain. The Voxmaster's voice is quivering with exhaustion. The situation has been brought under control, more or less. It will take some time to eliminate the consequences of the attack completely, but the vessel is capable of motion. We may even be able to conduct a warp jump if you feel we should leave the system. Allow me to bring you up to date. The bridge suffered heavy losses. Many of the officers responsible for key systems perished during the attack. The consequences for the vessel are most grievous. Kiava Gamma went silent after transmitting the harmful signal. I will refrain from sending inquiries to the industrial world to avoid a second attack. I'm afraid we've exhausted our options for remote analysis. More information can only be obtained by closing the distance or even sending an away party to the planet's surface. The Vox clicks as Heinrichs joins the channel. The time has come to remind you about our agreement, Donald. I must be present in your entourage during your expedition to Kiava Gamma. I am counting on your cooperation. The crew is awaiting further instructions, Lord Captain. This dwarf planet is marked on the Von Vlance's Protectorate charts as Adel, and serves as a backup source of water for the habitable worlds of neighboring systems. Due to the abundance of bacteria proliferating in the Adel hydrosphere, the extraction of ice was stopped half a century ago, but much to your officer's surprise, the augurs detected an unidentified mining rig deep underground. Presumably, the excavation is aimed at extracting clay minerals near the planet's core, enriched with iron and other metals. Yeah, contact the Extractium's Vox station. The Extractium turns out to be Incendia Chorta's latest investment, whose domain is located just within a few jumps from the Cranach system. While this world is of little value to the Von Vlances dynasty, your officers see this gesture as an attempt to test the boundaries of the newly minted Rogue Trader's leniency. Let's go with option 2. Magus Pascal notes the unusual composition of Adel's core. Subsequent development will allow the extraction of rare refractory metals. Heeding his advice, the Rogue Trader decides to keep the Extractium for himself. Your people easily assume control as the frightened workers and the token security crew do not even attempt to resist. The Extractium's machines are restarted shortly after. The mass containers filled with precious ore are delivered to the flagship's cargo hold. Doesn't tell me how much there is. Oh, 3. That's not worth it. Alright, let's quick save and prepare for battle.
rings out across our decks.
Alright, nothing too powerful here. The other two are further away. Alright.
All hands prepare for acceleration.
Gonna use my ultimate here.
Let the void sort them out. Keep up the pressure. Torpedoes away!
I'm gonna make a sharp turn here and try and get... Yeah, right here should be fine. Oh, not quite.
Keep up the pressure!
Alright, we get started on this
Fire
one
at
anyway.
will. Engage the engines! With the force of a supernova. Let them taste our fury. Let the void sort them out. Keep up the pressure. All hands, prepare for acceleration.
Nice.
I am amazed that we prevailed.
And we leveled up. Get a Mark 201B auger array. Hopefully that's enough to go back to these other planets that we needed a more powerful auger. And what do we get? Advanced ability and a flagship development. I think Arc Augury is the way to go. Been a couple situations where we've been just out of range of an enemy. So the flagship's next shot gains +2 extra range. So all these are new, right? This is our first development we've gotten. So improved RAM. Void Ship RAM deals twice the additional damage for each extra tile traveled. Rugged Repair. Repairing the Void Ship requires 50% less scrap. I'll probably grab that, just so we can keep upgrading our ship as well as keeping it repaired. Sanctified Restart. Restart shields now inflicts only -2 speed and reduction and no firing range penalty. Silent Running. When approaching an enemy, the flagship shuts down non-essential systems and starts to drift, unnoticed, past enemy ships. As a result, in most encounters, larger enemy vessels, frigates, and larger are surprised and act later. Seems pretty good. Silent Running 2. Silent Running now makes the flagship act before all enemies in most encounters. I feel like we've almost always gone first. I think there is one battle where we didn't. Steady Hand. When using post abilities, there is a 20% chance its cooldown will be 1 round shorter. With a minimum of 0. And Steady Hand 2. When using post abilities, there is a 50% chance its cooldowns will be 1 round shorter. And Take It All. Flagship now collects 10% more scrap from destroyed ships. I'm gonna go with this. So we'll save more with this, then we'll get Take It All next. The repairing the Void Ship requires 50% less scrap. That'll let us accumulate a bit more so we can keep upgrading everything. Cost 0 to repair it. Okay. If I downgrade that, I can upgrade our hull. 218. Okay, to Kiava Gamma. Infactorum of Kiava Gamma. So it does seem like the Dark Mechanicus has taken over here. Plus, that we fought that one Forge Fiend on the ship from Kiava Gamma. So I suspect there'll be more demon engines here. Some more tech heresy. Cranach frowns as his eyes sweep over the Manufactorum's dark halls. No solemn ceremony, no personal meeting with Magi. I fear we are too late, and won't be dealing with clandestine heretics after all. Binaric arias of alarm stream out of Pascal's Vox synthesizer, and an erotic broken rhythm says a call to arms and a warning of danger. Remind me, what is your mission on Kiava Gamma? I assumed I would conduct an investigation and track down traces of the Cult of the Final Dawn. I believe I could discard that plan now. Both the incident with the scrap code and the manner in which we were forced to land on Kiava Gamma indicate that the situation has taken a turn for the worse. Nevertheless, I must use this opportunity to try and determine what the cult was doing on an industrial world, and what specifically interested them on a planet full of sacred machines and servants of the Omnissiah. First, we must find someone who can tell us what's been going on here. Heinrichs pauses, straining to hear something. If, that is, there's anyone left here to speak to. Any suggestions for how to proceed? To start, let's look around and find out why the arrival of the rogue trader did not elicit the usual fuss. To speak plainly, I would not count on a warm welcome at this rate. Better keep your weapon at the ready. We'll learn nothing by standing here. Let's go. The interrogator nods, continuing to stare into the surrounding gloom. Yeah, what would a cult want with an industrial world? besides its resources and its ability to produce anything that you need.
My knowledge has its limits.
The burden of failure is the most terrible
Nothing's impossible
punishment.
for this old officer.
We'll go this way first. It's a quick save here. The Concentrators panel has dozens of breakers, buttons, handles, switches, and other control mechanisms. View the log. You discover the local data crypt with contents collected by either previous operators or the machine spirit itself. Using your access, you study the archive stored on this cogitator. View the first log data. Praise be to the Omnissiah, whose might and power transforms dead metal to make manifest the holy visions of the machine god. The new protocols received at the Synod from the great Fabricator Censor have been executed, despite those who shuddered at the thought of changing a standard procedure. Embolden your hearts for those whose inner weakness breeds errors in personal calculations. For the Fabricator Censor is the conductor of the higher will and the wisest among us. View the second log data. Today, at the Supreme Assembly, the Fabricator Censor unsealed the vaults of the sacred designs and committed those deemed redundant or heretical to purifying disposal. Today, dozens of standard procedures were lost, to be replaced by new ones, which the Fabricator Censor will deliver to those who demonstrate the greatest devotion to serving the truth. But the databanks contain no notion of truth. Could there have been, may the all-knowing one, the gracious keeper, forgive me, an error in the Fabricator Censor's calculations, and he meant to say, serving the quest for knowledge. View the third log data, which is hidden by the protection of the machine spirit. Your knowledge of machine spirits is sufficient to trick the system and subdue it to your will. A false query, a crafty manipulation of the controls, and you get what you want. The instrumental terminals have already been replaced, and the material delivery systems are being prepared for divine transformation. The execution of the new procedure has been delayed, but there are some in our ranks who doubt the words of the Fabricator Censor and his votaries. There are some who are not susceptible to the enhancement protocol. It carries our tech comrades to enlightenment. May the deliverers of fate be merciful to them. Inaction is death, and must be returning to our great work. Praise be to the truth that will reveal the path to the knowledge shrouded in darkness. Step away from the cogitator. Before you is an ancient but wholly typical console, intended for use by people not trained in the mysteries of ministering to machine spirits. The cogitator is completely silent, but as you approach, you sense the warmth emanating from its metallic casing, a telltale sign that the machine is working. View the log. We've already read this. The vast data repositories contain millions of strings related to receiving raw materials for processing, shipping processed metals, and schedules for sacred rituals to be performed over the machines coming off the production line. The manufactorum once operated like one gargantuan, well-oiled mechanism. The last record is from 2 months ago. Step away from the cogitator. The servitors before you appear as if they are performing some elaborate and confusing dance. Striking strange poses, they rock back and forth with their arms bent at peculiar angles. Upon your approach, one of the servitors jerks and tries to turn in your direction. The rest immediately repeat the motion. The strange scene is complemented by a grating sound. No clicks just at the edge of your hearing, coming from an unknown source. Observe the servitor closest to you. Based on a cursory inspection, you conclude that the servitors were designed for precision work on an assembly line, possibly circuit production. The number of high-quality, expensive augments in their bodies greatly exceeds basic standards. The servitor's hand moves, just slowly reaching toward you. spike its hand. The blow breaks off the servitor's arm cleanly at the joint. The arm falls to the floor, but the servitor does not notice. It pokes the air with its stump, then goes still. Find the source of the repeating clicks. Soon enough, you look at the source of the clicking. On the back of one of the servitors, a tumor, oozing with murky ichor, is growing straight through the augments. The relays coated in flame tissue are blocked, hence the reason for the persistent clicking. Mutation in a servitor. Tech priests typically reject the use of flawed soft tissue for their constructs. Perhaps something has caused this aggressive growth, and quite recently. Alright, cut away the tumor forming on the spinal cogitator. Without much difficulty, cut the excess flesh from the mechanisms. The liberated relay lets out a rapid burst of clicks, and a spark flashes before your eyes, as something begins to hum deep inside the servitor's flesh. As if on cue, the servitors stop moving, lower their arms, and turn to you. Crew 24, second lane in the Manufactorum. Commencing work. State your request. The servitor addressing you is looking past you, and the voice is coming from the box built into its throat. Yeah, we know that they're corrupted. We don't want to risk them wandering around or possibly hindering our investigation. Deactivate. Your service is done.
Is there money to be made?
Okay, I'm gonna call it here, and next time. Next time, we'll explore the Manufactorum on Kiava Gamma and see if we can't root out the source of this tech heresy. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.